Joy Gaba, Sister Ann, Doug Durling, Bob Simmons. These are all obviously household names that everybody knows, right? Wrong. Those were probably the teachers in my life who had the greatest impact on me between grade school, middle school, and high school. Tonight, I'd like to celebrate the power of teachers in this great country we live in on the power of one. You know, it's amazing when we live in a country like America where there's so many great things going on all the time that we really have a tendency, whether you're aware of it or not, to take a lot of things for granted. And I have to tell you, for a long time, one of the things I took for granted was my education. You know, I mean, I was pretty blessed. My mom and dad put me in private schools. We didn't have a lot of money, but they thought that was a priority, so I was in private schools. But even our public school systems are really pretty remarkable. And I know someone's going to sit here and quote how other countries have better rates and tests, and that's all well and good. Just the reality is this. I mean, we really do have a solid school system in this country, and a lot of us, if not most of us, get really good educations, and we just sort of take it for granted. You know, I mean, and one thing, if you take your education for granted, that's one thing, but really don't take your teachers for granted. Now, I don't know if you ever stopped and thought about it for a minute, but teachers are really overworked and really underpaid. I know quite a few teachers. I've become good friends with some of the teachers who taught my children throughout their years in grade school and middle school, and I'm so impressed by them, how they have such a commitment to excellence and how they care so deeply about pretty much every child in their class really learning and moving on and having a bright future. And that just to me is uncommon. And it's sad. I was listening to one of my favorite radio shows today, and they said they polled a large number of people in our country, and they asked them about being a teacher, and it said most people have a lot of respect for teachers, but most people wouldn't want to be a teacher. And to me, that's really, really sad. But that's just the nature of it. I mean, very few people become teachers because they're into it for the money. You just have people that are into it because they really care and they want to make a difference. And I'm just sharing with you tonight, if you are a teacher, you keep doing what you're doing, because maybe not everybody understands it, but there are definitely people like me who really value what you're doing. And even if you don't get someone like me or a parent in your school to come up and tell you every day how much we appreciate it, what you're doing really is making a difference in a lot of people's lives. And it would be terrifying to think what would happen if you were not in the picture and if kids were, you know, not getting the kind of care, because it's not just learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's more so about learning how to learn. It's more so about developing their character, which is such a critical part of what teachers are doing right now. So we salute, me, my staff, my wife, my family, we salute all of the people that are dedicating their life to our youth and really making a difference in their lives. That is definitely the power of many. That's not the power of one. Maybe that's the power of one mind and one spirit, but it's the power of thousands of people that are impacting tens of millions of people, and we salute you. And if you're not a teacher, then I want you to either A, consider being one, because it's not all about money. Have you figured that out yet? And maybe this isn't a calling to be a teacher, but I think someone needs to hear this message right now, that if you're making your career all about the money, that's kind of like the person who makes their spouse all about looks. Have you had any friends that made the selection of their spouse all about looks, and then they end up getting divorced shortly thereafter? Because if you haven't figured it out, there's a lot more to relationships than just looks. As a matter of fact, looks, while they're important to some degree, are probably not as high on the priority list as the other parts, you know, like the person's character and everything about them as a person, what's on the inside, so to speak. Well, once again, it's the same general kind of thing with a career. If you're only doing it for the money, don't be surprised if you find yourself really unfulfilled. See, a lot of people, when they get this in their mind, understand they'd rather go to work and do something they love to do, even if they're not paid the most money. Because if you stop and think about it for a minute, you are going to, between getting ready for work, commuting to work, working, commuting back from work, and unwinding, you're going to spend most of your waking hours at whatever your career is. So why do something for a little bit of extra money that you don't love to do? Wouldn't it be better to do something you're excited to do? See, I believe that life is way too short. Once again, go to the marcaccetta.com website, and if you're into personal development, watch some of the videos and read the articles and stuff there, guys. Life is too short, and you never know when it's going to be over. So if you're not, I don't care whether you're a teacher, not a teacher, I don't care if you're a garbage collector, a politician, if you're doing something right now watching this video and you don't love it, my recommendation is quit. And you're going to go, whoa, you know, it's a bad economy. What if I don't find another job? You'll find another job. And if you don't, so what? Why waste another minute of your life doing something you don't love to do? And if you don't know what you love to do, try a bunch of things. Same thing with dating. How do you know who your soulmate is? Well, the more people you date, the more likely you are to find your soulmate. So do something, and don't only chase the dollar. Chase something that it's going to make you feel fulfilled, and it's going to give you passion for doing what you're doing every day, which brings us right back to where teachers are at, because that's why most people are doing the job. So either A, consider a career change and impacting people's lives, but if that's not what you're going to do, then at least really love on and appreciate and respect the teachers that are impacting your children, because I promise you, they have a thankless job. The only time they hear anything is if they do something wrong, kind of like being a referee or an umpire in sports. Let's let them get cheers and accolades, guys, because they really deserve it more than we could possibly ever know, because we're not in that classroom every day. You think you have stress with your children when they're home? Imagine being with those children all day, every day, and having 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 of them in a classroom at a time. Needless to say, all of these teachers should go to heaven for sure for putting up with that kind of craziness. But in all sincerity, they just deserve our admiration and respect. So I want to close this by sharing one of the teachers I mentioned in the beginning, and all of those teachers made me enjoy going to class. Those teachers, I learned their subjects better than any other subjects because it was a joy going to their class. But as I said, teachers have more of an impact on us than just the information we learn in their classes. Mrs. Gaba from my first school I ever went to, St. Joseph's in Newton, New Jersey, Mrs. Gaba one day was talking to class, and I don't remember a lot. You know how you know, those years are kind of fuzzy and you don't remember that much. But I remember her telling our class that you need to be able to look in the mirror every day and be really thankful to be you. You can't look in the mirror and go, oh, geez, I'm a little chubbier than I want to be, or oh, I'm wearing glasses, or whatever, because that's what we do, folks. If you haven't figured that one out, we look in the mirror and we find out what's wrong with us. But instead of doing that, she taught me at the age of 11 years old to look in the mirror and be excited about being the best you can possibly be, because it's not like you can trade. You can trade baseball cards, you can do all that stuff, but you can't trade who you are. You're all you've got, and other people are going to put you down plenty. You don't need to put yourself down. Now, that lesson, even though it was very young in my life, I have never ever forgotten that. And there have been numerous times, and especially when I was going through middle and high school and I didn't have the greatest self-esteem, there were so many times I hung on her words and they got me through some difficult times. And I don't know how many other kids in the class remember it, and I'm not sure if I remember the exact words exactly as they were spoken, but I got the general point. The point was, be proud of who you are. And you know what? That is priceless, guys. Yes, I learned a class. She was a science teacher, but more importantly, I learned to love who I am. And that's a powerful lesson. Might be a little corny for some of you, but the reality is that has served me powerfully in my life. So once again, if you are a teacher, I applaud you, but more importantly, I want you to continue going out and doing what you're doing, because as so many of our shows indicate, you may feel like you as one individual aren't having that big of an impact, but trust me, if you're impacting one child's life, you never know who that child is going to become. I don't know who Barack Obama's teachers were when he was young, but I'm sure none of them realized that they were talking to a future president of the United States. You never know who's in your class right now, and you never know the impact your words could have, not only on that individual, but on a community and on an entire world. So keep doing what you're doing. That's all I've got tonight. We'll see you next week on The Power of One.